Do you have any brothers or sisters?
Yes, I have an older sister. She's my best friend.
Do you ever fight?
Sometimes over stupid things, but we usually get over it.
I have a brother. When we were younger, we used to fight all the time, and now that he's 20 and I'm 16, we get along a lot better.
I have a sister. We tend to get along for the most part, but like every brother and sister, there's a lot of fighting at times.
I have 2 younger brothers. Well, not me and my brothers, but my 2 younger brothers, they fight a lot about everything.
I have 1 sibling, Courtney. We have our ups and downs.
I have an older sister, a younger sister, and a younger brother. I always fight with my younger sister, like all the time. I get along with my older sister a lot, and my little brother really isn't much of a nuisance.
I have a sister. For the most part, we get along.
3 brothers and a sister.
You ever fight with them?
Yeah, a lot of times. They used to get on my nerves.
I have a younger brother. We used to fight a lot, but now we're starting to get close. So he's only a year younger than me.
I have 2 older brothers. We just argue about a lot of things over sports and stuff.
My sisters and 4 brothers. We get into arguments about little things. 1 sister.
I have a brother and a sister. I fight a lot with my sister. She's 5 years older than me. My brother, I get along with great. Well, I mean, we're closer in age, so I mean, he doesn't take my clothes. You know, my sister takes my clothes. We get into fights. So
yeah, I have a sister. I fight with her a lot because she's stuck up. She's selfish. She's greedy. She doesn't let me borrow her shoes or my clothes or my hair and stuff. You know, she's selfish.
I have a brother, Michael. So I do fight with him. I think it's just a natural instinct with siblings.
There's a quote that goes, "It's nice growing up with someone like you, someone to lean on, someone to count on, someone to tell on."
More than 80% of us grow up with siblings.
We share a home, experiences, parents, religion, friends, even DNA.
All of this sharing can be great, but it can also mean conflict and competition among brothers and sisters.
We can feel like they're getting more attention, better things from our parents, or that they have more than we do.
It becomes hard for us to love them unconditionally because we compare ourselves to them, and sometimes other people compare us too.
Sibling rivalry. That's what we'll be talking about today. Hi everyone, I'm Jack.
And I'm Leah. And this is Real Faith TV.
All of the teens in the street could relate to having conflicts with their brothers and sisters at one point in time or another.
We'll hear more from them a little later in the show, as well as meet our studio guests.
But first, let's meet Paul, who lives under the same roof with 3 older sisters and a younger brother.
And how he gets into squabbles with family members over everyday things.
I have 3 sisters and 1 younger brother. My 3 sisters are all older, and then my younger brother. Well, my 3 sisters right now are all in college, and my oldest one they all do sports. My oldest one does crew at Fordham University. Then my second oldest sister goes to Catholic University, and she does cross country, and she did track. And then my sister Maria is at the College of New Jersey, and she does all club sports. She does club field hockey, intramural basketball, and club lacrosse. And then my younger brother just graduated from middle school, and he just does participates in plays and stuff like that. Well, of course, I think like everyone fights with them, our siblings. It just happens, with jealousy, arguments, or, just sometimes people siblings just are out looking for a fight. If they're in a bad mood, then they need something to blame it on. Your siblings are always around, so. Well, a lot of the stuff I fight about or argue about are just silly, dumb stuff that not worth arguing. Anything really. It could be about, whether the dinner's good or not, or something silly like that. I could think that the dinner's good, and then my younger brother says, he's in a bad mood, and he's like, "Oh no, I hated it," and then you're like, "Oh, you're so rude." And he's like, "No, you're rude." And you get into arguments like that.
Yeah, I definitely know what he's talking about, because I'm the oldest of 5 kids, and we get into those small little fights every day over pretty much nothing. I'll say I like a band, and then my brother will be like, "No, that band stinks." And I'll be like, What? And we'll get into just this huge fight and everything. So I definitely know what he's talking about with the whole tension between siblings, and you're together all the time, so you fight a lot about little stuff.
And I know what you mean, because I'm the youngest of 3, so I feel like I'm always on the defense. Let's see if our guests have any similar experiences.
They are Kira, Matt, Chris, Kim, Dan, and Casey.
How do you get along with your siblings?
Well, I'm the oldest of 3, and my brother is right after me, and he is just so musical, and I am just so not. And my mom's always like, oh, Kira, look at Brian, look at him playing the piano and the saxophone. I'm just like, oh, I'm so not, I can't do it. But other than that, I think we get along pretty well.
I'm the middle child. I have 4 other siblings, and like me and my other sisters, we team up against my older sister. Like she had library books one time, and we would like hide them, and wait till they're overdue to get her in trouble and stuff like that. But we forgot where we hid them, so like she couldn't use her library card. But we get along sometimes.
I'd have to say in my family, considering there's 4 guys and a girl, we get along pretty well. I mean, there's the occasional fist fight or something. I always joke around with my older brother and I like punch him in the arm or something, but we get along fine.
Yeah, my brothers and sisters, I have 3 of them. They're always out succeeding. Like my sister, she's really smart, and my younger brother and sister are really good at sports, and I'm just kind of there. I'm the lazy one. I don't really do much. So we're really competitive about that.
My little brother, Matt, he's 3 years younger than I am, and it's not really that much of an age difference, but he's just like, he acts way different than I do. So that causes a lot of conflict, but we don't really focus on that much. We focus on the things we do have in common, and it just all works out.
Yeah, I have an older brother and an older sister, and then I have a younger brother, so like I'm the middle child too, kind of. And we're all different in our own way, and we kind of get along, but we do fight too.
Yeah, I'm in your situation where I'm oldest of 5, but there's 4 boys and a girl and everything. And my next brother in line, he's like real athletic and everything, and then I do all kinds of theater stuff. So we are just completely different and everything. And sometimes we don't get along just because we're so different from each other. Like he'll walk around and be like, what? And like be like all like, you know, athletic and sporty and everything, and want to go like throw the football around or whatever. And then I'm kind of singing show tunes in the shower or whatever. So it's, you know, it's a big difference. It's a big difference. But no matter how alike to a brother or sister we are, we each have different talents. It can be hard when one of you excels at a sport like soccer or football and the other, like me, isn't athletic.
Or you might feel like your parents are comparing you when an older sibling continually makes honor roll and you struggle with just making passing grades.
Have you ever felt like you were in direct competition with a sibling?
That's what we asked the teens on the street.
Let's check it out.
Just fighting about stupid stuff, like which room we got when we moved into our house, I remember, and like if he got something, I would want it.
It used to be everything from television shows that were on the TV to what we were going to do that day. But now it's more stuff about, you know, who's going to be taking the car.
Simple things like chores and food.
Mostly laundry.
Who's better at what and what sport?
My sister takes my clothes all the time. We get into a lot of fights about that. Who gets the computer?
Anything. We just argue over anything.
Who's going to take out the garbage?
Stupid stuff like random things. Who's watching TV or who's not putting something away. Or
Stupid stuff like toys or anything, and we used to get pretty bad, but now we're good.
The TV, the video games, the bathroom, shower.
Video games.
Who gets what controller?
Who gets the TV?
Who should win what game and why we should win it.
We fight about stupid things like who's gonna use the computer first, who's gonna take a shower first.
Clothes, money, boy, she took my ex-boyfriend.
Is there competition between you?
Yeah, sometimes she thinks her mom likes her better, but I'm pretty sure she likes me.
I was the older kid, and we both wanted attention from our parents.
Soccer, when we play sports. But it keeps us on track, you know, keep competitive all the time.
She tries to be like me a lot. I'm a cheerleader and she's also a cheerleader, but so we try to out dance each other and stuff. Like she swears that she could dance better than me, even though I taught her how to dance.
Competition can be good. It can really motivate us.
It's only natural to want to make the goal, get an A on a test, or let our talent shine for all to see.
But it's unrealistic to expect to have the same abilities and talents as our siblings, just because we come from the same family.
God makes us each unique, and He wants us to live to the best of our potential, not someone else's.
Next, let's go back to our spotlight guest, Paul, where he shares with us how competition among siblings can get out of control.
And how his own competitive nature once provoked anger from his younger brother.
I have one friend who always gets into fights with her twin sister. She always comes in, oh, I got into a big fight with my sister the other day, like a big cat fight where they slap each other, kick each other really hard, and like punch each other. I think they did that when they were younger too. They do it now, but they always get over it. I haven't had really any big fights with my siblings. We get along pretty well most of the time. My brother doesn't really play sports, so he doesn't have as much of a competitive attitude to him. So I think that contributes to us being peaceful more, just because I'm pretty competitive, but he's not, so I don't think we've really gotten to that many fights at all when we were younger. One time, where me and my younger brother were playing video games, I kept beating him, and then I'd like rub it in his face afterwards. And one time he got really mad. We had a ping pong table right next to us, and he takes the ping pong paddles. He just like was really mad, like swinging them and like almost hitting me. That's probably the biggest fight that we had. My sisters, they get into fights every once in a while. I know they went to North Carolina and they got into a big fight. I never got the full story out of them. My oldest sister and my youngest sister got into a fight with my middle sister, and I think they stopped talking to each other for a day or something. It rattled them because I guess it was such a big fight and they had never had such a big argument. They were all crying over it. I don't know what my sister Teresa said, but it made my other two sisters mad. When they resolved it was just because they apologized to each other, because they knew that they didn't want to live with being in a fight with each other. They would want to be friends.
It sounds like Paul's sisters were able to resolve their issue and forgive one another.
So how about you guys? Is forgiveness always easy when it comes to a sibling?
I don't think so. I think it's harder because you have to see them, and you can't just kind of go off in your own world and think about what happened. You have to see them, and you have to like confront the problem.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree, because like with my friends, when I get in fights with them, you can separate yourself from them for a couple days or so. But like with my brother, I share a room, so I can't just go there and isolate myself from everyone else because he's gonna be there. So it's hard.
Yeah, my sister was being stupid, and she put like a chicken in the microwave for like 10 minutes. And when I came downstairs, the microwave blew up, and I was like, what happened? And she was like, it blew up. Then my parents came home, and she was like, please take the blame for me, please take the blame. So I took the blame, and we both ended up getting in trouble, and like, it was like horrible. I shouldn't have done that. So I still didn't forgive her. I still don't forgive her.
I don't know. I always forgive my brother because we're both really intense and really competitive. So we'll just get in a fight about something. We'll just both like blow up. Our tempers are so bad. And then after that, we're just like, whatever. You want to go play a video game? And he's like, okay. And then we'll like be playing the video game. We'll get in a fight. And I'll be like, oh. And then he'll be like, oh. And then we just get in a fight. And then we'll be like, whatever. And then it's just a continual thing. So I think it's easier to forgive a sibling.
I agree. Like with my little brother, whenever we get in a fight, like we usually just wrestle it out or like hug each other and we're good.
Hug it out.
Easier.
I find that in my family it's kind of easier to forgive someone because you're with them so much that it's just like you have to forgive them or you're gonna go crazy and just get so angered.
Yeah, when I'm with one of my siblings, like it's a couple of my brothers, it's just they do something that annoys me all the time, you know, and because I'm with them all the time, what they're doing just gets on my nerves so much, and it just builds up till I'm like really, really angry. So sometimes it can be a little hard to forgive them just because you're with them all the time, you know? So I think sibling rivalry is just something that's bound to happen when you're stuck together with someone, you know? But what about you guys? You think sibling rivalry is inevitable?
That's what we asked the teens on the street.
Let's check it out.
It's definitely inevitable because as you're growing up, like, especially in the younger years, you're always going to be competing for the attention of your parents. You're always going to be competing to who's better at what sport, things like that. I mean, it's always going to be there, but it does fade away as you get older.
Yeah, you can never like avoid like some kind of jealousy. Say your mom will get you like something and then the other one's going to be jealous, be like, I need something too, you know?
I think it's healthy sometimes to have some rivalry between your brothers and sisters, but not too much when it becomes serious.
If you're with somebody for an extended period of time, you're going to start fighting with them, regardless if you like them or not.
because that's the nature of things. If you're in a house with someone and he's your brother and you guys are family, spend too much time with someone, fight about anything.
Every sibling is going to fight, but at the end of the day, it's your brother or your sister, and you just love them.
What advice do you have for teenagers who are often compared to their brothers and sisters?
Just be yourself. Don't worry about what they do. Like, if they're good at something, just be good at like your own thing. Be an individual.
Well, if you not getting along with them, just sort of ignore them.
Let it ride, because in the end, they're still your sister or brother, and you still have to live with that person.
Don't make it that serious. Your brothers and sisters when it comes down to it, have some fun.
Just work things out and remember they're your brothers and their family, and that's how it's going to be for the rest of your life.
You gotta learn to deal with them because they're everything you got. Like, when you grow up, you're not gonna have like your mom or your dad. Like, you gotta have somebody.
St. Francis of Assisi tells us, "Blessed is he who loves his brother as well when he is far off as when he's by his side."
And who would say nothing behind his back he might not, in love, say before his face.
When competition is our go-to reaction with our siblings, we become knotted up inside, anxious or angry.
It's very hard to feel blessed in that situation, but while it is fairly normal to judge ourselves against our siblings, it is wrong of us if we fail to love them.
Next, Paul talks about the varying degrees of sibling rivalry he has witnessed.
Let's hear him now.
I think it's just different degrees of sibling rivalry. You can just have, like, some sibling rivalry break out into fights, others just arguments, others are just internal, where you feel like a bitterness towards your sibling, maybe. You don't argue about it, you don't talk about it or anything, or just like little things. Sibling rivalry is inevitable because they are your sibling, because you know them, maybe you know that they're good-natured, you know that you do love them. So when you get into a fight with them, it's easier to forgive them because you know what they are, and that right now they're rattled and you're rattled because of this argument. So when you're siblings, it definitely helps to understand each other's point of view on the argument and to get over it. Jealousy is a big thing, or you think your parents are giving like one of your siblings more attention than your other siblings, and so you get jealous of that a lot. Or a lot of times I think sibling rivalry is caused by one of the siblings comes home and they're in a bad mood over something completely different, maybe not relative to their siblings, and they want to take it out over with another one of their siblings, so they get mad at them, they argue with them, and turns out to get into a fight with their sibling, even though that's not where the real problem is. When you're with someone too much, or you spend a lot of time with someone all the time, you always develop these fights and you're just looking for stuff to pick them apart. I think if they don't get along with their siblings, they need to talk about it, because they probably have unsettled just arguments and stuff.
So, what are some of the ways we can keep conflicts with family members to a minimum?
And how can we cool off the kind of competition that only leads to trouble?
I think you just have to realize that your brothers and sisters are always going to be there for you. So don't worry about the little stuff. Just remember that the big picture, they're always going to be there.
I find in my family, if you know there's gonna be a problem and you're an older sibling, you gotta just like give in and not fight back with your younger siblings.
I totally agree. I always give in to my little sister. I'm just like, yes, whatever. Just do it. Just go. Leave me alone.
Yeah, because sometimes younger siblings are just very irrational, so you kind of have to be like, all right. I'm older, I'm wiser, I'm just gonna let you do that. Just go.
Yeah, my approach is like, if you know that person's in a bad mood, like, go nowhere near them, and like if you're gonna fight with the person, just hang out in your room and like read and just relax there.
Best way for me to avoid a problem is, because I'm real quick-tempered and I get angry quick, so it's just for me, like, avoid them as best as I can, get out of the house and do something else.
Yeah, now that I drive, whenever I see a conflict coming, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna hop in the car and I'm gonna go. It's like that. Jesus had to deal with the spirit of competition among his disciples.
They contended for his attention, each wanting to be considered the best.
In the Gospel of Luke, chapter 9, the disciples began to argue among themselves as to which of them is the greatest.
And Jesus redirected their competition, telling them that the one who is least among you is the greatest.
He teaches them by his words, and later by offering his very life, what it means to serve, and what it is to be humble.
Humility is a virtue. which allows us to see the good in ourselves and in all those around us.
Let's go back to our interview with Paul and see how faith can strengthen the bond between siblings.
And how God can provide us with guidance when there are tensions.
If my sisters are in a fight, my parents will always tell them to help them get over their fights and to help them realize what the cause of their fight and get down to the cause and settle it. Having family dinners, saying prayers together, or saying the rosary, going to Mass. I think that helps strengthen the bonds of our family members, become better siblings and stronger friends and stronger people, and that helps to prevent arguments. I think the scripture that's most helpful guiding sibling rivalry is definitely the greatest commandment. Jesus said to love one another as I have loved you. Loving your sibling will definitely prevent more physical fights. It also helps keep the fights more subtle. I would never hit any of my siblings, actually hit them. And that's definitely because I love them and I don't want to hurt them. Prayer is pretty big in my family. My parents are very religious, so whenever there's problems, we always look to God for answers. When you're in bad moods or arguments, it's easy to look for God for guidance and help, and He's always there. So prayer definitely does help.
So how about you guys? How has faith helped you to deal with your relationship with a brother or sister?
I know that when I have a fight with my siblings, prayer usually helps me to feel motivated to forgive them.
Yeah, this one time, my little brother and sister were fighting about something like a room, and then my mom, because this was going on for about a week, and I was just I pray to God that they'll stop, and it worked.
I got into an argument with my brother John one night, and then that night before I went to bed, I said a prayer just saying, let him get out of the house for a little bit and let me be able to cool down. And the next day he had a full day of work, which I didn't know. So I was able for a couple hours to just sit at home and just be able to cool down.
We take our siblings for granted sometimes, choosing to compete with them rather than appreciate them.
Pope John Paul II tells us that love between parents and children, brothers and sisters,
is given life and sustenance by a grace that leads the family to ever deeper and more intense communion.
This means that the first people we love are our family members, our siblings, and that love should bring us closer, intensely closer. In fact,
when we allow rivalry to become more intense than love,
we actually prevent that communion with each other that God intends.
Finally, we asked the teens in the street if they felt prayer could help them through difficulties with their siblings.
Let's check it out.
I think prayer can do a lot of things, so I think that if you pray about stuff or you're concentrated on something for something positive, then it could be good and it could change a lot of things.
It definitely helps you to be less competitive and less angry towards a sibling. If you're having an argument, sometimes just going and being alone and just being in prayer and just being in thought with yourself helps you to just calm down and be a lot better off.
Once you have a one-on-one relationship with God, you really know who you are inside. So everything that goes on around you kind of falls into place.
Can faith help someone to find peace with their brothers and sisters?
Yes, because reading the Bible and going to church, it calms you, lets you be calm. It has some effect on you that, won't cause too many stress and won't cause too many conflicts in your life.
Being religious, you treat people the way you want to be treated. It's one big thing, and if you treat your siblings right, then they'll treat you back and you'll have a good relationship.
If you believe in God and God accepts everyone, so you accept everyone too.
I guess you could go to church together.
God talks about how you should always love your neighbor, and you do eventually, like I said, you come to love your siblings. As much as you may despise each other when you're younger because they stole a cookie from you or something.
The Bible says love your brother, you gotta love your brother.
Yeah, my mom and her brother and her sister got in a really big fight. Their parents got involved, my grandpa, it was just so awful. And I remember my mom would always pray that it would be resolved because it was tearing the family apart. They wouldn't come to our house for Thanksgiving if the brother was gonna be there. It was just awful. So and now everyone's talking, it's all good. So I definitely think prayer helps in that situation.
And also, I've had situations where my whole family was in a fight, so I didn't have anyone to turn to, because if I wanted to talk about it, it would just start the fight over again. So if I talked to God, He would help me resolve it, since I didn't have much family to talk to.
Yeah, I don't have any like big story about the whole family fighting and everything, but my form of prayer is when my brother's coming after me. My brother, he's my younger brother, but he is bigger than I am. He benches like 250 pounds. He does varsity wrestling, varsity football, all that stuff. He's a big, tough kid, you know, and he's coming after me trying to wrestle me or whatever. My form of prayer is to kind of get away as fast as possible, screaming, WWJD, WWJD, stay away, like that kind of thing. So kind of, you know, telling him to remember what Jesus would do and all that, not to kill me. It's in our family that we're first called to love.
Choosing love instead of rivalry with our siblings helps us to learn to do the same with our neighbors, friends, and our world.
Pray for the grace to understand your own value, a way to become confident in who you are, and the strength to love as Jesus loves us.
How does your relationship with God affect the way you treat your siblings?
We'd like to post your story on our website.
The address is www.realfaithtv.com.
Or you can call us at 609-406-7402.
And we'll leave you today with a quote from Pope John Paul II's document on the Christian family in the modern world.
All members of a family have the responsibility to make the family a school of deeper humanity,
where there is care and love and mutual service every day.
Thanks for watching.
And we'll see you next time on
Real Faith TV. God bless.